did you do this?
I am so sorry.
You are a disgrace to this family.
The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor of the grand ballroom, its sharp crack echoing like a gunshot amid the stunned silence of 280 guests. I stood there, frozen at the head table, my tuxedo suddenly feeling like a straitjacket, as my new father-in-law, the smug CEO with his perfectly tailored suit and diamond cufflinks, leaned into the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he drawled, his voice laced with that faux charm that barely masked contempt. "Let's raise a glass to my daughter's choice. From rags to, well, slightly better rags. Who knew a mechanic's son could land an heiress? Must be that blue-collar charm, or was it the pity?" Laughter rippled through the crowd, but it was the kind that stings uneven and forced. My face burned, a mix of rage and humiliation churning in my gut like bad whiskey. Sarah, my wife, God, that word still felt surreal, squeezed my hand under the table, her fingers cold and trembling. "Dad!" "Stop," she whispered, but her voice was too soft, too late. I forced a smile, the one I practiced in the mirror, telling myself this was just his way, the old man's ritual hazing. But inside, doubt gnawed at me, a quiet whisper I'd been ignoring for months. Why does she always defend him? Why does she flinch when I question their family business trips? The ballroom was a gilded cage, crystal chandeliers casting fractured light over white linens and floral centerpieces that smelled overwhelmingly of lilies, funeral flowers. I thought bitterly. The air hummed with a low buzz of conversations resuming, forks clinking against plates, but my ears rang with his words. Rags. Pity. I'd met Sarah 2 years ago at a charity gala I'd crashed as a +1 for Buddy. She was laughter and light, her eyes sparkling as we danced under those same kind of lights. But now, as her father's toast dragged on, praising her generosity in choosing me, I replayed the red flags I'd rationalized away. The late-night text she deleted, claiming work stress. The weekend she'd vanished to help Dad with the firm, returning with that distant look, her perfume mixed with something sharper, like cologne that wasn't mine. I glanced at my best man, Admiral Jack Harlan, 4-star Navy SEAL, retired but still built like a tank, his dress whites impeccable, medals glinting under the lights. We'd served together in the shadows of hellish ops, him pulling me out of more than one firefight. He sat rigid, jaw clenched, his eyes locked on Sarah's father like a predator sizing up prey. Easy, brother. I joked earlier when he arrived, but now his knuckles whitened around his glass. The old man wasn't done. To Ethan, he boomed, raising his flute, the man who fixed my daughter's heart after she wrecked a few Beamers. That is, hope he can keep up with the family jet set, or at least the payments. More laughter, sharper now. My chest tightened, anger bubbling up, but I swallowed it. For her, always for her. Sarah's hand slipped from mine, and she stared at her lap, cheeks flushed. Was it embarrassment? Or guilt? That thought hit like a sucker punch. Lately, her touches felt obligatory, her "I love yous" rote. I'd chalked it up to wedding jitters, the pressure of a family's empire looming over us. But what if it was more? What if I'd been the fool all along? Jack shifted beside me, his chair scraping softly against the floor, a sound that cut through the haze like a warning shot. I remembered the call last week, his voice grave over the phone. "Ethan, we need to talk about Sarah and her old man." I brushed it off, too deep in denial. "Not now, man. It's the wedding." But his silence had lingered, heavy with unspoken truths. The toast rapped with a patronizing clap, and the band struck up a soft melody. Guests murmured, shifting in their seats, the atmosphere thick with unease. Sarah leaned in, her breath warm against my ear. "I'm sorry." His just protective. Protective. The word twisted in my mind. Protective like the way he'd whisk her away for those emergency meetings, or the expensive gift that arrived after jewels I couldn't afford. I'd found a receipt once, tucked in her drawer, for a hotel suite in the city. "Client dinner," she'd said, her eyes avoiding mine. I'd believed her because I had to. Love does that, builds walls around the cracks. As dessert plates were cleared, Jack rose slowly, his presence commanding the room without a word. He adjusted his medals, the clink audible in the sudden hush. "Mind if I say a few words?" he asked, but it wasn't a question. He strode to the podium, grabbing the microphone from the old man's hand, firm, unyielding, like seizing a weapon. The CEO's smirk faltered, his face paling under the spotlights. "Admiral," he started, voice oily, "this is a family affair." "Family?" Jack's voice boomed, low and lethal, the kind that had commanded SEAL teams through chaos. "Let's talk about family, Mr. Hargrove. About loyalty. Betrayal." The room froze, silverware suspended midair. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide with something deeper than shock. Fear? Guilt? My heart hammered, confusion swirling with a dawning horror. Jack's gaze swept the guests, then locked on me. "Ethan's my brother in arms. Saved my life more times than I can count. Deserves the truth." He paused, the silence agonizing, like the tick of a bomb. "I've seen betrayal up close, enemies turning coats. But nothing like this." He turned to Hargrove. "You mocked him, called him rags. But who's the real fraud? The one sleeping with his daughter's maid of honor while preaching family values." Gasps erupted, chairs scraping as guests leaned forward. Sarah whimpered, "No?" But Hargrove's face crumpled, denial dying on his lips. Jack wasn't done. "And Sarah, she knew, covered for you. Those business trips, alibis. But it gets worse, Ethan." His eyes met mine, pained. She crossed lines too, with your old rival, that exec from her firm. Started months ago. Thought it was just stress relief. But emails don't lie. I hacked them, old habits." The world tilted. Sarah's saw broke the spell, her face ashen. "Ethan, it was a mistake. Dad pushed me, said you weren't enough." Her words shattered me, denial crumbling under the weight of truth. Anger surged, hot and blinding, mixed with a grief so raw it stole my breath. I'd loved her fiercely, blindly. How had I missed the fragments, the whispered calls, the unexplained absences? But deep down, I'd known, feared, rationalized because losing her meant losing everything. Hargrove lunged for the MIC, but Jack's grip held, his SEAL strength unyielding. "Sit down," he growled. Security hovered, but the guests were rapt, phones out, the scandal unfolding like a live wire. Sarah reached for me, tears streaming. "Please, forgive me. I love you." Love. The word tasted like ash. I stood, legs unsteady, the ballroom's opulence mocking me now, the scent of wilting flowers, the distant clatter of dishes. Heartbreak clawed at my chest, confusion warring with fury. She betrayed me, her father enabling it, their world of wealth corroding everything pure. But was I blameless? I'd ignored the signs, clung to the fairy tale. In that moment, as Jack handed me the MIC, his nod saying it all, "You'll call brother," I faced her. "Love isn't pity," I said, voice cracking. "Our secrets." I walked away, the doors swinging shut behind me, the night air cool and cleansing. But the twist came later, in the quiet of my hotel room. A text from an unknown number, photos of Sarah and her lover, time-stamped after our vows. She'd texted him during the reception. The final stab, leaving me shattered, reflective, wondering if trust could ever rebuild from such ruins.